Good afternoon. Felt like there was a lot going on. Needed to catch up with the media and inform y'all of all the different changes going on. First off, congrats to Kirby and Kayla Moore on being named as the head coach at Washington State. Just an awesome opportunity for them. You know, as assistant coaches, you always dream about getting the opportunity to be a head coach, and for him to be able to get it so close to home in a place that he values and cares a lot about, I think it's really, really cool. We wish him the absolute best. We absolutely enjoyed our time with Coach Moore, and he certainly left it better than he found it, contributing to 29 wins in his time here and seeing this place continue to grow and develop. And so a lot of our success we owe to Coach Moore, and wish him all the best moving forward. You know, can't serve two masters, so he will not coach in the bowl game. He's got plenty of challenges at Washington State, and so we'll move forward as an offensive staff and put the game plan together, and we'll figure out how that goes moving forward. Could lose a couple more people off our staff from analyst roles as Coach Moore finalizes and puts his staff together, and I'll keep you abreast if that changes anything. Shouldn't change the dynamic of what we do at all. Secondly, you know, disappointed with the actions of Zion Young and the decision making that he had as a team captain and player. We love Zion. We will handle all discipline internally. And, you know, young men make mistakes. It's something that we can all learn and grow from and understand the seriousness and significance of that decision, and we've got to do a better job educating our guys not to make that decision and put people in harm's way. So we will do that. Virginia, really, really good football team. Obviously, ACC regular season champs. Got a 6-year quarterback who understands what they're trying to do and accomplish. There's not a lot of things that you're going to do to him that he hasn't seen in his career. Very good run game. Very good job throwing the football. So it'll be a challenge on us defensively, especially being down some players. And then offensively, you know, their defense is a really, really good defense. You know, very good at stopping the run, limiting scoring opportunities, very aggressive in the pass game, multiple coverages, really a real challenge for the quarterback. We do have players that will be gone or be out of the game. Josiah Trotter suffered a minor knee injury in the game versus Arkansas. He was able to finish the game, but we went ahead and had that fixed, and so he will be out for the bowl game. Brett Norfleet had his injury repaired, so he will also be out for the bowl game, and those are obviously two significant injuries for us. Elite players, really good people and leaders on our team. I think y'all saw Josh Manning, Javion Hilson, Marquise Davis, and Brandon Haygood have all entered the transfer portal, and we wish them the absolute best. So with that, I think I got it.
Questions? Hoff, Mr. Hoff, so I don't confuse the head coach.
All good, man.
Coach, you mentioned the offensive staff changing a little going into the bowl game.
Yep.
Do you have a sense of who's actually going to be calling the plays in that game yet?
Probably just flip a coin. Yeah, just each play, just flip a coin, see who wants it. So now we're putting it together. Honestly, staff collaboration is probably one of the best things we do here, and how we design and operate game plan. And so, you know, we put it together, and then, you know, somebody's got to call it and call it the way that they do. We'll work through that the rest of this week as we're going through, you know, who's calling, talking to the quarterback and all that stuff, and get a sense of the direction we're going to go there.
Stay on this side of the pie.
Eli, we've seen some schools decide not to go to bowls and such. I wonder if you could just speak a little bit to what the value of the bowls are for your program particularly, but also just in this era, what it means to be able to have the opportunity.
Yeah, the game of football is not guaranteed. I think that's the biggest thing with bowl games. It's a guaranteed opportunity for your team to continue to play, and it's a reward for his job well done during the season. And, you know, I think there's always an assumption where when you're a younger player that there's going to be more games, and as you get older, you realize that that's not the case. And playing football out in the backyard is not like playing it in Furrow Field. It's not like playing it with your brothers. It's not like putting that helmet on. You got a 44-year-old who decided to give it one more try this past weekend because that's how much he missed it, and Phillip Rivers. And I think if you asked any of our college players who, you know, maybe thought they were going to get a good chance to play in the pros, if you could give them one more game, they'd always take it, always. So there's value in the bowl games. You know, for us as a program, there's a lot of value. We're opportunity to finish with a ranked opponent, a really good opponent. There's an opportunity to do something that's never been done here before and finish with 3 straight seasons and 9+ wins. There's valuable reps going on right now for our younger players and the cohesion of our team and the camaraderie. I mean, you get to go spend time with people that you really love and care about. So I think it's awesome. You know, I know it's devalued for other people, but it hasn't been devalued to the TV because they need content. And it sure hasn't been devalued to online gambling because they need opportunities. So the only people it's been devalued to is, you know, the disappointing. Like, if you watch it for what it is, I think it's an awesome opportunity. Now, there's some things we got to clean up from a calendar standpoint, but that'd be like me yelling at the clouds.
Gabe.
Eli, just real quick clarification. You mentioned Javion Hilson. That I have not seen anywhere publicly yet, but he's in the portal.
I don't know how the portal operates. I just know
Or
he's
intends to go.
yeah. I mean, he's not practicing with us, so.
Okay. And then past the bowl game, I understand that is the priority, but what is your time frame and what are you looking at in filling Kirby's role? You know, in hiring a new OC.
I'm going to shock the fans and say I'm going to do it. I'm just kidding. Twitter, I'd get yelled at for Twitter. No, well, we're going to interview John Anderson a little bit later today. And depending on how that goes, then we'll see if Dave Matter wants to throw in his 2 cents. No, honestly, I've been adamant with this with our team, with our players. Everybody who's in this building's focus has to be, what do we got to do to win the bowl game? And with Kirby getting his opportunity, my entire focus for the last 72 hours has been preparing and getting this offense in the best position possible for us to win. And as soon as I feel like I get that situated, which should be, you know, we're in a Toughness Tuesday here. We've already done 3rd downs. Tonight we get done with practice. We'll do red zone backed up. Tomorrow we'll do 2-minute, 4-minute. And once that's finalized and I feel confident in that, then I'll move on to the hiring of offensive coordinator. I've got a group of names. I've been looking at lists. You know, you put a list together of 15 names, so I looked at that list and said, okay, it's probably a pretty good list.
There was only 11. How was it? Good?
Yeah, no, well, I feel confident it's not my list, but so we'll see. You know, the biggest thing for me in this league is this league doesn't allow for training wheels. Like, there's not a lot of first-time play callers having a lot of success in this league. Like, you got to have some battle scars. You got to have a level of toughness. You got to have an understanding of who you are, what your identity is. And so for me, that's going to be a priority in this thing. You know, I've had a lot of people reach out and recommend a lot of people that are great candidates and great people, but it's going to be somebody who I feel like has been in the fire before and understands it and knows what they're getting into. And you know, we got to improve the pass game. You know, you look at our 4 losses this year, you look at our 3 losses last year, you look at our 2 losses the year before that. Our inability to consistently convert 3rd downs in critical games or throw the ball has been a major factor in our losses, and we got to get that corrected and cleaned up. So, emphasis on the pass game. You know, we have a pretty strong run game here. They have the Doak Walker Award finalists 3 out of the last 5 years, SEC leading rusher 3 out of the last 5 years, 2 consensus All-Americans 2 out of the last 3 years. I think we've got a pretty strong foundation of how we run the football, but we got to improve, and so that's what I'll be looking for.
Cody.
You had mentioned some of the guys that are going to be out because of portal or injuries. Some of these guys that might be making NFL decisions or at least contemplating that. Have you had conversations with them, and if there might be any more bowl opt-outs before the Gator Bowl?
I've had conversations with everybody that has NFL opportunities. We're all waiting for the CSC report. We turn that in the Sunday after the bowl game. I'm pretty confident it's December 16th, right? And we still haven't got it back from the NFL. I don't know what they're waiting on. To be honest, it's really frustrating because Players have to make decisions. There's a lot of stuff going on in college football, and we need we need that information back from them. You know, I know they're in the middle of their season, but they got to get that stuff. They got to get the information turned over quicker to us, because it is, you know, it's affecting a lot of guys' decisions. You see people saying they're going into the portal or they're exploring the NFL, and they haven't got their NFL stuff back. I mean, 17 days seems like an awful long time to get that information. With all that being said, I haven't received any indication that there's players who would opt out irregardless of what their status was with the NFL. I feel pretty confident that the team that we have here today is going to play. Now, with that being said, I did not anticipate that these players were going to transfer either. So things change, and we'll see. We'll be adjustable.
Back in the middle.
Eli, with Kirby, I know kind of the plan was meshing that pass game from Kirby with kind of your run game fundamentals. Would that be the hope with a new offensive coordinator, and does that influence, I guess, what you would look for specifically schematically?
No, no. You know, we threw the ball really well in 23, and not sure whatever the reason was, the regression for us the last 2 years in throwing the football. All I'm saying is that we'll still have an identity of running the outside zone. But if somebody comes in and they want to, you know, emphasize the counter or the inside zone or power or something like that, then so be it. We'll be fine. You know, I'm not going to put any restrictions on the new offensive coordinator. It's you know, as long as it fits into the offensive identity of who we are, which is rhythm, attack, execute. You know, being able to play with an offensive rhythm and control the tempo. Have a dominant downhill run game and vertical pass game, and being able to execute in critical situations, which are 4-point plays, third downs, and 2-minute offense, then we'll be fine.
Right over here, Coach, on the right.
Eli, obviously with the bowl game being the Gator Bowl in Florida, there could be some dangers with Gators. So if you came to a Gator, who would you choose from your team to be able to successfully wrangle the alligator?
Langdon Kitchen. Yeah, sucker wrestles cows and stuff all the time. He's from a farm. All you got to do with the Gators, you just got to get your arms around that snout or whatever they call that thing, bill, snout, something. Hold on for dear life. He'd for sure be my first pick.
Experience with Gatorade?
No.
It's just going sideways questions.
Let's see you transition from that.
Yeah, all those moving parts you were just talking about with your players. I mean,
Yeah.
Can you give us an idea of what these 2.5 weeks before January 2nd are like? You talked about multi-year contracts. There are schools announcing that kids have re-signed. You know, like, how binding is all of this stuff between now and then?
I don't know. Some of the players that have entered the portal were under 2-year contracts, and their anticipation is that another school will pay their buyout or they'll pay it back themselves. So, you know, contracts are contracts. I think there's been an assumption that I'm not going to go there. So we'll see. You know, right now there are perceived rules, and then we'll figure out what are the real rules moving forward. But I think, you know, we have a lot of guys. We've met with every player, and again, the main goal is to finish this season. I think we still will have guys enter the portal after the bowl game, but they felt like it was important for them to finish the season, which I respect and believe, you know, that's the best for them. We have a lot of guys who've signed contracts who plan on returning and are under 2-year contracts. All of our 2-year contracts have a buyout, and so if guys leave with a 2-year contract, it's, you know, you enter into the portal with a tag on it that says buyout, and the next school is responsible for figuring that out. So we'll see how that all plays out in the future. You know, one of the things I've said quite a bit is what we're being asked to do has never been done before in the history of college football, ever. So there's going to be a lot of mistakes made and be a lot of new ways mapped out moving forward. We have a ton of stability here. We have a ton of really good players who want to play here. So this is a great place to be, and you know a lot of known quantities in a place that, or in a time when there's a lot of instability.
Kyle in the middle.
On the changing of the calendar with the portal now in January, how have your conversations, you know, from the last game of the regular season to the bowl game changed with the portal now, delayed till after the bowl?
Yeah, I think it's been a really good addition that the month of December is dead, because all of these meetings can occur while our focus is on our current team. Obviously the bowl games being delayed as long as they are create a little bit of angst for players if they already have their minds made up that they want to transfer, and so that's a little bit challenging. I think the biggest challenge with the January only portal is that you're going to have one crack at the egg, and once you get your roster set, it's set. There's no way to fix it. So it'll be interesting to see how everybody approaches spring football now moving forward. With you got 105 guys and somebody gets injured, there's no going in the portal to find somebody. So we'll see how that all plays out. Again, what we're being asked to do every day is a brand new day. We supposedly have rules. I don't think every school signed the Collegiate Sports Commission.
I'm not sure on that either. I don't think so.
Yeah, not everybody's signed that yet, so I don't know if that means that there's even a Collegiate Sports Commission, or if any of those rules are even enforceable. So
Going
there
back
you go.
to Natalie.
Eli, looking at Virginia, how do you like specifically how your two teams kind of match up? And kind of tell me about your experience with Tony Elliott in the past as well.
Yeah. So I've got a couple experiences with their coaching staff. Obviously, Coach Elliott's a guy that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. Coached against him when he was at Clemson. Have recruited against him. Does a tremendous job. Coaches the right way. Believes in the development of the person first. And so really respect who he is and what he's done and the job that he's done there. Their offensive coordinator, Coach Kitchens, was on staff with us at NC State, and then went to the Falcons with Dwayne Ledford, and has always been a really good football coach and a great person, and does an excellent job. Their defensive coordinator used to be at Air Force, and I've coached against him in 2014 and 2015. So there's some familiarity with those guys. As far as the matchup goes, I think their defense is really good, and that'll be a challenge for us offensively. And then I think our defense matches up good with their offense, and so then you're looking at special teams being a hinge point. And so, we really need to play well on special teams. We're going to have to do a good job offensively of finding a rhythm and what can we do against what they do defensively. And then, defensively they do a really good job, or their offense. They do a really good job staying on schedule. Very few third and long or extra longs. They keep it at 3rd and 5 or less. And so we're going to have to, really play disciplined football, use our depth to our advantage, try to create disruptive plays.
Eli.
Coach, with the roster limits, I think that has changed now for the SEC, where it's going up to 105.
Mm-hmm.
Does that have an impact on your strategy going in the portal, or how you think this is going to play out, having 20 more spots?
Yeah, it does. It does affect your strategy, and what you could potentially take out of the portal. It's just a matter of how much money you have, and where you're shopping at. You shop at Louis Vuitton, you can't get 105 bags. So, with the salary cap and all that stuff, it'll be interesting to see how everybody's approach is, and what they try to do. So, again, we're figuring it out. One step, one day at a time.
Got time for one or two more? Bye.
Eli, you mentioned that about the CSC participation agreement. I'm curious, how much do you get in contact with your peers about their perception of what's going on there, and is it coach talk, or do you just stay in your silo on it?
No, there's a lot of coaches discussing it and frustrated, in my opinion. And I understand the national sentiment because of the salary ranges of head coaches, that it feels like we're complaining, but we're really not. We're trying to sound warning bells, and that's what I believe we're all trying to do, is that there's a warning that the system that we're in is really sick right now, and college football is sick, and not in it's just there's showing signs of this thing really cracking moving forward. And we need to get something under control, and The SCORE Act was something that it looked like it was going to be a step in a direction. There is no perfect solution, but we have to get some sort of steps moving in that direction. I think we're all weighted with, is it bated breath, the saying, trying to wait on what's going to happen with this fifth-year lawsuit in Nashville, where you could have a flurry of fifth-year guys now being eligible, and that would just throw a completely new wrinkle in the system. Tampering is at, the highest levels. There is no such thing as tampering. It's just because there's nobody that's been punished for tampering. And so everybody on my roster is being called. I had a dad call me and say that, and I called the head coaches at their schools, that this school and this school and this school called, and they are offering this much money. And, it's you're putting a lot of pressure on young men. We're paying them as 1099 employees a lot of money. We're not offering any type of retirement. We're not offering any type of health benefits. And we've worked around a system and then tried to create that as the system, instead of creating a functioning way of moving forward and making sure that it works for everybody. And whether that's collective bargaining, whether that's making them employees, whether that's antitrust legislation that protects everybody, the commissioner or the SEC or the NCAA from lawsuits, something needs to be done. Because, again, TV viewership may be at an all-time high, and that's awesome. And gambling on sports may be at an all-time high, and that's great. I got no problem with that. But what about the well-being of the student athlete? What about graduation rates? What about tax implications? What about handling and understanding financial literacy? What is their life going to look like after 5 years of college athletics? Is it going to be better because they participated in college athletics, or could they be in a tougher situation? And, that a lot of us got into college athletics because we wanted to help young men grow and develop. And I think we're still doing that mission, but it's getting really hard because you used to talk about, Coach Saban used to talk about all the time creating value for yourself. And when he talked about it, he wasn't just talking about value for the NFL. He was talking about creating value for yourself with a college degree. And we've lost that aspect of it. And these guys are going to create tremendous value for themselves playing the game of football, and that's awesome. And I love that these guys are getting paid. I love that last week these guys with their own money went out and bought gifts for Coyote Hill. I love that. That's awesome. But my job also is to look at them in 3 or 4 years down the road, and how many of them are in a better position because they played football if they've transferred 4 times. And that's just the system that we've created. Not all freedom is good freedom.
2 questions to finish up, John.
Yeah, I guess I'll change mine after all that. I was gonna ask about managing the month off, but given
What
that
month off?
Given everything you just said, then tell me what kind of value you have in when you actually get on a field and get to coach,
Yeah.
or when Saturday comes for those 4 hours, what that means with you get away from all this stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the most enjoyable time of all of our day, players included. I don't think the players enjoy the pressure of all the decision making and enjoy all the rumors and all that stuff. I think they enjoy the Twitter likes, the dopamine hits, but there's a real value to or a real cost whenever change occurs. But man, when you go play football, that's it's pure. That's what you love about the game, is playing and getting better and trying to improve. And I love coaching. I loved being on the headset yesterday and calling the plays in and talking to the quarterback. And it's the same reason Phillip Rivers came back. There's something about it you'll never get again. And so I think that's what all of our guys really enjoyed. As far as managing the time off, we've tried to have a schedule that allows these guys to have 3-day weekends. So we've given them every Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. And then practice. This week's a normal week of practice. Yesterday was Mindset Monday. Today's Toughness Tuesday. Tomorrow will be Workday Wednesday. Thursday will be Thorough Thursday. And then we'll have a fast Friday morning practice. They'll be off for Christmas, and then we'll all meet down at the bowl site on December 23rd. I think our guys are in a good spot. You always worry a little bit about conditioning, but from a strength standpoint and a execution standpoint, I think we'll be in good shape.
Finish up right here.
Coach, you've mentioned multiple times now that what you all are being asked to do has never been done before in the history of college football. Now that you've had a little bit of experience with going through this cycle where you're being asked to do a lot
in a little bit of time.
Mhm.
What have you learned about what it takes to manage everything that's going on properly?
I don't know that I am. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The result will be figured out next year in the wins and losses as you put together your roster. You know, we've had to pivot a couple of times on plans. I do think that we have a core value that, or a core set of philosophies or beliefs that we have, that retaining your own players is the start of building your team, and you got to do that first at the positions that you need and feel like are important to you. And then the second step is, you know, signing your freshman class, and the third step is obviously what you're going to do in the portal. So we're in the middle of that roster retention right now and doing the best we can to retain. You know, you got a tough situation because you got Ahmad Hardy, who is a consensus All-American, but I think Jamal Roberts is as good a back as there is in the country. And how do you beg Jamal to take less to stay here? You know, I mean, that's the real reality of it. And we're asking him to commit to a new way and do something different. And but that's a really tough decision that is not easy. And that's, you know, that's not the only person, you know. So it's a really, really hard deal because when you have a hard cap, it's like I told the team, you know, when an NFL owner doesn't pay, he gets to keep the money. Like, nobody in here is keeping any money. Like, we just have a pot of money and we got to divide it amongst everybody in here to try to create the strongest team possible. And so that's what we're trying to do, and we'll do the best we can. But if anybody in St. Louis has third-party NIL that they'd like to donate or work through to keep Jamal Roberts around, we'd love to talk to you about it because he's a heck of a player, and we'd love nothing more to have him be a Tiger for his career.
All right, Coach, thank you.
MIZ?